There's people who say that gravity isn't real and that the earth is flat. That doesn't invalidate the fact that the earth is round and that gravity is real. Like I asked you and you couldn't really give me an answer. I don't think there's a way to define what murder is without establishing some right to life. Could I walk up to a 3-year-old child in the road right now? And is that okay? And is that morally permissible to you?
What did the 3-year-old do?
If somebody crossed the border and you shot them, you would be sent to prison.
Yeah, but I differ in that belief.
You could differ in the belief that gravity is. You could differ in the belief that gravity is real. That doesn't make gravity not a real principle.
Yeah, murder is a principle, but murder differs. That's why human rights don't exist, bro.
No, they exist, and that's why murder is a thing. Because if you violate someone's right to life, that means you've murdered them. And you might have a different standard of what you call violating that. But if you violate that, that is murder because everyone has a different standard of a right to life.
If it has a different standard to right to life, then human rights.
For instance, so could I walk up to a 3-year-old child in the road right now and shoot them? Is that okay? And is that morally permissible to you?
What did the 3-year-old do?
Nothing. They're just playing. Let's not even say in the road. They're in their own yard. They're playing in their own yard. And I just walk up, or they're in the sidewalk right in front of their yard, and I just walk up and shoot them. Can I do that?
I would say that's murder. Yeah.
Okay. Why?
What did they do wrong?
Okay, so then so they didn't do anything wrong to deserve it. So they had the right to life, and I violated that, and they didn't do anything wrong to justify me violating it. So you also hold a principle that to some standard, the right to life exists. Everyone holds that. Your standard might be different, but it exists. Because you just said that would be wrong.
I said the right to life or human rights, aka, are different given society. Right?
No, I mean the standard to which they're applied in the society, or to which it conflicts with the societal rights, might be different, right? But like everyone believes innately that humans have a right to life. Even you, when you're asked, just innately, could someone walk up and just shoot a kid? You're gonna say no, because you hold the same principle.
I don't think everyone has a right to life. No, by default, no.
So then you don't think that the kid just has a right to life?
It depends.
It depends on what?
By default, everyone does not have the right to life.
So when that baby is born, the second they're born, could I kill them?
That seems to be what the abortion folks believe. Right?
No, nobody says that, but I'm asking you specifically. Is it morally permissible the second that a baby is born to kill it?
Well, you actually do have abortionists making that argument.
I'm asking you, though, specifically, is it morally permissible to kill a baby the second it's born?
No.
So then you think that we are born with the right to life. You think that babies are born with the right to life.
And those other abortionists who say otherwise say no.
Nobody thinks that.
So do they subscribe to your human rights? I don't think they do.
They do. They're violating. Most people who make nobody even makes that argument. I don't know what you're talking about. The idea that we should be able to kill a baby, that's infanticide.
You don't see.
That's called murder. And also, people pushing for murder makes them psychopathic. It doesn't make like the right to life invalid. Again, there's people who say that gravity isn't real and that the earth is flat. That doesn't invalidate the fact that the earth is round and that gravity is real.
Specific to the society that you live in. There's no society that has one.
I think the principle of human rights exists in the same way that the principles of logic exist. And I think that there's something that you can deny, but you're just living outside of reality to deny them.
Living outside of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a fundamental difference between a physics principle, which is verifiable in the physical world, and it just differing with a subjective opinion.
Yes, but I do think there are immaterial things that exist, right? And I do and we have labels for them, but I think that the principle exists. Like, right, there's a lot of mathematical principles that exist. The principles of logic exist, and I would think that human rights exist. And I think that we label them.
So do you think Christians follow the same logic as you?
I think Christians follow fairy tales.
Okay, so they don't follow the same principle of logic that you do.
Right, but I think that principle still exists, right? And I think that being illogical doesn't invalidate logic.
That that doesn't change the fact that they do differ. So if you say, okay, let's take a pregnant mom, let's put them in two different societies.
Mm-hmm.
One says it's okay to abort even once they're born if the mom chooses so, and let's choose the opposite for the other society.
Mm-hmm.
Which one had the right to life?
I think both had the right to life. I think one's right to life was violated, right? And I don't think something being allowed, because now I think we're conflating like human rights with societal rights, and they can conflict with each other. But I don't think a society accepting something makes it morally permissible. Like you wouldn't say that slavery was morally correct because America, it was legal, right?
The two examples I gave was a pregnant woman,
Mm-hmm.
one per society, they are opposite.
Yes.
So if you have an opposite standard,
I would say you have
in those
one
two
immoral
societies.
society. One society was immoral, was acting immorally, and that they were violating that baby's right to life. And I think that you would agree. And in that, I think that you would understand that there is a right to life there, because we would both agree that's not morally permissible. It was just happening.
I would disagree because.
So you think
in
that would
one
be morally
society-
permissible?
Hold on, let me finish. In one society, it says it's okay to abort even after birth, whenever. The other society says no, it's not permissible. So if you have an opposite standard for right to life, depending on which society you live in, you really don't have human rights.
So you think it would be morally
Not
permissible?
in any practical sense.
So you think it would be morally permissible if the society allowed it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess you can. I mean, you can argue whatever.
So to be clear,
subjective argument you want.
you think that it would
But if
be
it's
moral.
subjective-
You think it would be morally okay to kill a baby after it was born if the society said it was okay?
I don't think you're picking up what I'm putting down here. If you
Right.
say you have human rights, what value does it have if not everyone holds that opinion?
What value is, because that's how you test when people invalidate it, right? That's how you hold a principle of what, for the right to life, what murder is, right? Like I asked you and you couldn't really give me an answer. I don't think there's a way to define what murder is without establishing some right to life. In other words, because otherwise killing isn't just wrong. You could just kill people. They don't have the just inherent right to life. You have to first accept that there is a right to life to some standard to accept that murder is wrong. So that is one benefit that right gives society. It allows us to set a standard for murder.
Okay, so the right to life is always checked against what you are doing.
But I'm asking you though, no, hold on, because I do need you to tell me, like, can you tell me how we would set a standard for murder without a right to life existing?
So murder is whatever legal definition you come up with.
Right. It is the
There
unjust.
is no right to life.
It is the unjust killing of a human being, which we dictate off the right to life. So if you kill someone who has not done anything wrong, that is wrong because that person has a right to life. So I'm asking you, if you're saying that these rights don't give society any benefit or it doesn't provide any benefit. So if the right to life,
I'm saying it has no objective value.
okay, so that is an objective
They're not
value
human
though.
rights. It's
That
not
is an
parameters.
objective value, is it allows you to set parameters for murder, right? So how would a society set parameters for murder without appealing to a right to life?
Like I said, it is checked against what that person's doing. Always.
Right. So if they're doing nothing,
Let's have a practical example.
Hold on. Let me ask you first. So if they're doing nothing, why is it wrong? Without appealing to the right to life, if they're doing nothing, why is it wrong?
Because it doesn't have any detriment against me. So why would I care? Where is the right to life implicated?
That's not telling me why it's wrong. None of that told me why it was wrong. You just said you didn't care.
Precisely. It's irrespective of my view of it being wrong or not.
So you don't think it's wrong?
What you are doing.
You don't think it's wrong to kill someone who's doing nothing?
I think it's wrong when they're doing nothing.
Okay, why? What makes that wrong?
Again, it has no detriment against me, so why should I care if they exist or not? If they're alive, why would I care?
So
Why
in
would I
your
care?
worldview, people should only do things that benefit them?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, well then that's logically inconsistent. You're not appealing to a consistent logical principle there.
Why
'Cause
do
you
I
s-
have to?
Because that's how you set.
If it's
That's how
my
you set.
life,
That's how you. That is the objective value here, right? Is it gives you parameters, a consistent logical parameter to appeal to something, right? I'm saying killing an innocent person is wrong because that person has the right to life. You're saying something that isn't logically consistent. You're saying something that anyone could dictate any way that they want. You have no consistency in your logic. You're saying it's not wrong to kill someone because it doesn't benefit you, but then people can do other things that don't benefit them. So if you think people can do things that don't benefit them, then they could kill someone who hasn't done anything to them. You don't have a consistent logical principle there.